Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unlimited Seating, featuring candid conversations with female role models in the workplace. I'm your host, Sanila Samuel. You can catch us on our YouTube channel, where you can see the whole video series from season 1 and season 2, or subscribe to our podcast, available on all major podcast directories. I'm very excited to introduce our guest for today, Leila Rezaiguia. Leila is a highly sought after multilingual executive and systemic team coach who's renowned for her high energy, enthusiasm, passion, fun loving nature, and her love for empowering, connecting, and working with people from diverse cultures. For 23 years, Leila has worked with leading organizations and individuals to enhance productivity, maximize performance, and accelerate growth. As an ICF Professional Certified Coach, Facilitator, ICF Mentor and Coach, Leila integrates cutting-edge learning techniques to deliver the most effective evidence-based solutions to her clients and strives to help her clients from graduate to C-suite levels reach higher performance personally and professionally. Leila is passionate about coaching, mentoring, women in leadership, and leadership development, and has created successful performance coaching and mentoring cultures across different industries. She's based in Dubai and leads both Compass Consultancy and the Academy of Executive Coaching, UAE. Hey, Leila, thank you so much for taking the time to be here today.
Thank you, Sanila. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you. And I know it's Ramadan, you're fasting, but you're still making the time to come and talk to us at Unlimited Seating. So an extra special thank you for you.
My pleasure. And Ramadan Kareem, and also happy Easter. I hope you have good plans, whatever you're celebrating.
Thank you. Great. Leila, your profile, right, is really extremely strong. And we'll walk through all the different things you've done career-wise. You've kind of co-founded and you're running your own consultancy firm for more than 8 years here in the UAE. What got you started? Like, what made you think I want to start something on my own?
What you took me back to when I left the corporate world now more than 8 years ago. It was March, actually, 2013. When I always dreamt about setting up my own company, but it was never the right time. I loved my corporate job, and I used to call myself a corporate girl, and I love that. And then I reached a point where my body was giving me signals, and I had ignored that for over a year. And my body just kept giving me more signals, like, you don't want to listen, I'm going to give you more. You don't want to listen, here you go, you're going to get more. And it was literally every 3 months I would get a disease, like literally from typhoid fever to viral infections to a car accident. And it was like, oh my God, okay. And then I started losing my passion. Everybody who knows me knows that I'm very passionate about life, about my work, about my hobbies. And I started losing that passion. So I was like a light that started dimming and slower and slower. And my energy just got off. And I just realized this is no longer working for me. I'm going to leave now, and now is the right time to set up this company. So I had no plans to resign at that point when I did, but I listened to my intuition. And my intuition always led me to the life that I am in at the moment. So that was the catalyst in how I left. I knew what I wanted to do, because it was a continuation of what I was doing in a corporate environment, simply doing it for me and having more fun with more clients. So that's when I resigned. Everyone was shocked because I didn't have any other job lined up. And I resigned in 2013. It was amidst of another crisis. But I knew that I'm leaving now, and I no longer will work for anybody else. I'm going to now set up my own business, and the rest is history. I'm sure we're going to talk about all that history.
So 2013, you quit your job. I mean, I'm just trying to think what I would do today if I quit my job. It would take me a long time to kind of just think through what I want to do and get started, even if I had an idea, right? So How did you get started? How did you go and get the first totally finalizing, this is what I'm going to do going forward, this is what my company is going to be about. And then how did you go about talking to people and getting that first client?
Yeah. It was such an amazing journey. Just every time I have a podcast or I reflect back on that time, And I have grown so much since that time. So I would do the same. If I were to do it again, I would do the same, and I would approach it the same way, probably, because I'm a person who, once I feel this is the right thing for me, I'll go and do it. And I'm also an Aries. So there is that fire sign and passion in me that really, once I believe in something, I'll just go for it. And I've always been like this. So I had already been speaking actually with my business partner, Gaj. We were already, in business. We were friends. We became friends, and then we start sharing our own passion for what is it that we would like to do beyond corporate environments. And we realized that we were both having the same passion of developing talent and people's careers and help them developing their leadership. So we started catching up. I'll never forget this. I used to work in Abu Dhabi, so I was doing that drive every day and coming back and meeting him in Shakespeare in Marina Mall, because that would be the first point for me. And we were just catching up for coffees and dreaming and just dreaming, what would we be doing, blah, blah, blah. And it took us a year. So by the time I realized to leave, I knew that this would be, once I leave, this would be what I would be doing. But when I decided to leave, I had a burnout. So when I left, of course, with all these health issues and stress level that was off the roof, I decided I needed a break. So I went to Thailand, first time ever on my own, holiday on my own. And I went for yoga and then yoga retreats, and really took time to reflect on what got me here. Like, wow, I've had an amazing career, but look, health-wise, it's not going well. So I did tell my partners then, because Gaj then had another partner. We had another partner with us. And I said, listen, guys, I'm ready to set up the business, just not yet, because I need to self-care and look after myself first. So that's what I did. I took 2 months off and rejuvenated, I recharged my batteries, I decompressed and de-stressed. As soon as I came back to Dubai, I was ready to just set up the business. And we just went through the process of setting up a business in the UAE, excuse me, which was something completely new for me and for all of us, because we were all working in corporate environments. We had never set up businesses before. So finding the right trade, finding the right, I forgot my thread of thought.
The trade, the license and the registration,
Trade license.
and all of
I'm
that.
just thinking, well, what is that word? You can tell I'm like in coffee. Free zone is the word I was looking for. Finding the right free zone and bank accounts and stuff. And because of the network that I had when I was already working in corporate environments, and on previous employers as well. And then, of course, people knew that I left, and everyone was eager. What are you going to do? Which company you join? And I said, no, I'm actually setting up my own. So I reached out to the people that I knew, and my previous employers actually wanted, they said, we would love to continue working with you now that you set up your company. And my first employer, Mubadala, who brought me actually Abu Dhabi Finance to the UAE from London, was our first employer. So my first employer bringing me to the UAE ended up being our first client in the business. And that's how we started off. It took us six months to get paid for, by the time we landed the first client and get the first paycheck. But it was so worth it, because we learned a lot along the journey of what we wanted, which type of clients we wanted to work with, and what did we really want to specialize in.
Got it. Okay. So then a couple of questions here, right? It took some time to get paid. Did you and your partners go through that feeling of, hey, this is much harder than I thought it was going to be? I've got one client. I need to, of course, work with them, build something that's relevant for them. But the second one is taking time. I'm sure there are different phases, right? Not just at the start, different peaks and troughs. What keeps you going and saying that, oh, I'm not going to give up and go back to a corporate job. I'm going to keep going?
If there is one thing for sure I knew, is I would never go back to corporate environment. I was super mega clear about this. And I still do, because I just love the freedom that running my own business gives me. And freedom is one of my values. And also I had been there when I resigned, I had 18 years of corporate environment, be it in Algeria, in the UK, and then in the UAE. And I thought that's it for me for now. I want to now explore something else, still following my passion. So what keeps me going is my passion for what I dream about, I'm a big dreamer. I'm a dream catcher. And when I dream about something, I don't know how I'm going to get it, but I continue dreaming about it. And then I do manifest it because I do work hard. If there is something that I really want to share with the audience is none of this just came on a silver platter, because a lot of work, a lot of sweat and had been put into this and continues to. It's just in a different way now. So the idea of, yes, of course, it's taking time, but at the same time, we were building our network. I was just always out there attending some events, meeting with people. I kept having conversations, and so did my business partners as well. So having conversations, informing our audience, what is it that we're doing, and just continue the conversations. And one contract then led to another contract and then led to another contract. And that's how we've grown. So for me, my motto in life is never give up. I never give up on anything I strongly believe in. If I'm passionate about something, I'll do whatever it takes to actually achieve that. So yeah, that's so ambition, passion, and drive and commitment. When I believe in something, I do commit 100%, 150 to 100, depending on what it is.
I really like what you said about aligning with values, right? That, freedom is one of your top values, and I think that's what we're all recommended to do. But it's really hard, I guess. One, identifying your top values, right? But then finding that right alignment of, hey, what's the life path that really aligns. And that's what's going to make you really happy. So I really like how you knew it.
Thanks, Sanila. And I think you said also something else about, you just mentioned something now that made me think also about risk taking and being risk averse, because I remember many conversations I had with my colleagues when I was leaving, and lots of them, male or female. I remember coming to me, oh my God, Leila, at that point, I needed a break. So I wasn't going to set up the business because I knew I needed a break. And everyone was telling me, I wish I could do what you did. But I have a mortgage, but I have kids going to school, but I have financial, but there was always, but I have this. And I so respect everybody's engagements and commitments. But I think one of the biggest lessons that I've learned from that experience is you need to make your own decisions and take risks in life, depending on how much risk you're willing to take. Of course, some people like to take 1% risk, some take 10, some take 50, some take 100, some take none. Yeah. So I think it's also about knowing, for me, staying in a comfort zone has never been my motto because I get bored. I'm a person who likes change, who likes new adventures, who likes keeping myself updated with new things so I can grow. And when I know that I'm in a comfort zone, that's it, I can close my eyes and do this job, I know it's time for me to leave. Yeah. But I'm also a risk taker because I don't know where I'm going. I know where my passion is. I know that this is what I want to do, but I'll go for it. And then I'll find my way. But lots of people don't actually take that risk. And I coach people day in, day out. And I see that the risk taking is something I'm noticing that a lot of people who are willing to take that step need to nurture a lot more. Because that seems to be a blockage or a hindrance for people to fulfill and dream bigger.
Yeah. So let's get into that a bit. That's very interesting. I haven't thought about that aspect personally as well. And you coach a lot of people who are in the corporate world, right? What does risk-taking mean? When you're coaching, what do people take away from the risk-taking while they're in that corporate structure?
That's a very good question, Sanila. Well, first, when someone embarks on a coaching journey, that's taking a risk. So that already tells us whether the person is willing to take a risk or not, because there are so many people who may want to achieve something, but they're not willing to take that risk to be vulnerable and not know and be uncertain. Because coaching is uncomfortable. Because in coaching, you don't know what you're getting yourself into. You know that you need to work on achieving some goals that you need to set up for yourself, or the organization wants you to work on, and you need to align with that. But you don't know. I never know what every session is going to look like, because I don't have an agenda. My clients have their goals, and when they come in, I just write their dates and the number of session, and then that's it. I'll wait for them to see I'm meeting another human being. So first is when people take the risk of, actually, I want to work with a coach, which means I'm signing up for something I don't know what it is. So that's taking a risk.
Yeah.
When people take a risk to share with me something that may be holding them back, or their fears, or being vulnerable, that's a huge risk to take and face someone that you don't know, and but you trust and you feel safe with, so that you can, many times, men or women that I coach, they tell me, what I'm sharing with you, I've never shared it with anybody else. That's taking a risk of sharing that. And some people take it even further in terms of taking a risk of speaking with their managers about their career dreams, or wanting to embark on something else. Some people never do. They just speak to themselves, or they just let that idea be at the back of their mind. And I always say, if you want to step out of a comfort zone, that's where the growth is. But you can't dream about becoming someone or living your life in a certain way if you continue justifying the paycheck or the perks, and we all love these. I loved them when I had them. But I have a different types of perks now, and I have much bigger dreams than I had when I was in the corporate environment. So you kind of redefine, what does risk mean to you, and how much are you willing to take as a risk? Because no one can tell you this is the risk you should be taking, and this is how much. You need to decide for yourself what works for you, because we're all different. What works for me may not work for you, and vice versa.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. Like you very rightly said, I think just acknowledging that, hey, whether somebody's asked you to do it or you're doing it for yourself on your own, I think just that for coach, accepting that, hey, I'm getting into a coaching environment and I'm going to seek a coach's help is a big risk. I was talking about it with some girlfriends last couple of weeks, and one of them is kind of in between jobs. She just had a baby. She said, hey, I'm thinking of getting a career coach. And we were talking about it, and we talked about the being vulnerable, right? And thinking how it's going to take so much self-reflection and vulnerability, and I think that's what we both agreed is a big challenge. It's a personal challenge.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is, and I love what you're bringing in terms of self-reflection and challenge, because as a coach, every coach has a style, because we're all different. Your fingers are not the same. And when I train coaches, because I'm also the head of the Academy of Executive Coaching, which means I've got a coaching training school in the region, training people to become also executive coaches in organizations or setting up their own businesses. And our motto is, who you are is how you coach. And that's what people find out through that journey of exploration, to find out, who am I truly and really? And who am I dreaming about becoming? Who am I becoming?
Yeah.
And who I am as a coach is, I'm a coach who is supportive and nurturing and caring and fun and playful with my clients and flexible. And I'm also challenging. I'm a challenging coach. So when I meet my clients, and then I just have a chemistry session and talk to them about how would it feel to be coached by me, I do say that I am a supportive and I'm also a challenging coach. So, and this is how it would feel when I'm offering you challenge. How does this feel? And I pause, because some people may go, I actually don't want to be challenged. Well, if you don't want to be challenged, then I say, you're not the type of clients that I would work best with, because I don't believe in people staying in a comfort zone and signing up for coaching, because these two are contradictory. Yeah. Coaching means uncomfortable. You're going to feel uncomfortable for your potential to be unleashed that you might not even know you have. But you're going to take that leap of faith, and it's a positive journey towards growth. So that's taking a risk, but it's also being true to who I am, of explaining this is what it is, because I'm not just after getting clients, because I won't be of service to them if I'm just tapping on their shoulders and you're great and you're good. I do that when it's needed, but I'm also there to help to challenge not you as a person, Sanila, if I were to coach you, but I'm challenging your thinking or your limiting self-beliefs, or maybe there is that desire to take a risk, but maybe there are some fears. That's what I would be helping you challenge, so that you can take that leap of faith to see what you are so capable of doing that you might have not even realized you had.
I'm going to ask one more question on coaching, Leila, before I get to something else, right? From what we're talking about, I think somebody who's saying that, hey, Leila, I want you to be my coach, or hey, sign up with any other coach, they need to have some goals in mind.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And yet it doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah, that's what I kind of see at work. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and coaching is a beautiful journey of discovery, of self-discovery and self-awareness and self-reflection. So many, many, many people that I work with don't actually take the time to self-reflect of where they are in their journey of life, where they are in their journey, their career. Gone are the days where we used to, where would you like to be in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years? I mean, seriously, look at how much COVID has taught us and continues to teach us. Like, there is none of those questions. And if your audience is being interviewed and being asked those questions, I would say just run, because that says a lot about the culture of the organization, that they are so backwards. So we don't ask those questions anymore. So for me, when I'm hired by organizations to coach, senior leaders and executives or high potentials, the organization may tell me, I want you to coach so-and-so on these areas, because they may have done a 360, or they may have done, an assessment center or a development center, and they have a report of competencies that they want these leaders to develop. But I don't take just those competencies, because they're words. So I help my clients actually to turn them into goals. I'll give you an example. One of them is I want to have visibility in my business, my CEO to know who I am, and or my or the regional office, I want them to know who I am and the work that I do. So there's a lot about visibility and stakeholder management, but that's still a competency. So we turn it into a goal. What would be a SMART goal? How would you know that you've achieved that? And then I would be working with them, and I use creativity in my coaching. So I'll be exploring at times this using maybe visual cards, or inviting them to move from. So there is a lot of how to explore this in a creative way, but it's not always that the clients know what they want, but I help them find what they want. But if the organization wants them and they don't, well, then we can't continue, because I'm not coaching the organization. Yeah. I'm coaching the person who needs to have goals. Yeah. Because I'm not there to tell them what to do. These are not my goals. These are your goals. So unless you know what is it that you want to work on or develop or explore, who am I to tell you this is a shopping list? What you should be. What are we going to talk about? Because and that's the also misconception in the market. And I'm loving this opportunity. We're talking about this. So there is coaching is still fairly, it's not that mature in our region. Yeah. But people need to know that the coach is not there to tell you what to do, or to just sit and have a conversation, because we need to have goals. Coaching is not venting. Coaching is not, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to listen to you venting. No, I'm going to help you, because that's a lot of people think that coaching is. There might be times where my clients vent. There might be times where my clients would be silent, or my clients would be crying because there is something triggered. Yeah. But it's not 1 hour of crying or 1 hour of venting. Yeah. So because we're working towards achieving a goal.
Yeah, and the person needs to be aware, one self-aware, have those goals and want to take steps towards the goal.
Absolutely.
So Leila, going back before you started Compass, and when you were kind of growing in your career, starting out, one, I guess, how did you know, how did you kind of get to the path that you're on now, right? What are some of the different moves you took, or did you always know that I want to work with people, I want to help them kind of get to where they want to be? I guess that's one. And then I think you said your first client was the company that got you here, right? So obviously you did something right in the
I
way
hope so.
you started the relationship and then maintained it all the years. So you just walk us through that journey of the different moves you took, even when you were in the corporate world. What took you from one place to the next company and so on? Like you moved from London here as well.
So the simple answer to that question is I always knew what I wanted.
Okay.
And since the age of 13, I knew that I wanted what I wanted to study. And I remember having had a big argument with my father who wanted me to be a doctor. You know, Arabs and Indians, they're all the same. They all want their
Doctors and
kids
engineers.
to be doctors and engineers. Yes, and we have so much of these people. We have so many. So I never wanted to be a doctor. That's what he wanted me to become. You know, thinking, and in hindsight, you know, thinking of a better career prospects for me. But that was not my dream. It was his dream. So I wanted to study languages. I loved English. And English is my second language. So at that point, I knew that this is what I want to study. You know, I wanted to become an interpreter just to travel the world, you know, and so I knew that it was always related to languages. And that's what I studied. I studied a bachelor in English, and then I did a master's in HR when I moved to London. And with HR, I knew, and that my dad was my mentor when I was at the beginning of my career. And I'll always be grateful to all his mentorship and advice. And when we were talking about HR, I didn't have any idea about HR because I had another master's in African civilization. So I loved literature and civilizations. And then he goes, you know, HR, you may want to think about HR. And so he talked me through about HR. And then I did my master's in HR. But I knew when I was studying, it had to be related to developing people. I was never interested in recruitment and, you know, employee relations or compensation and benefit. That was never. So when I started off my career, I knew that it had to be in the development side and learning and development side. And that's how I started off my career in Algeria. And then when I moved to London, and I was also working in learning and development in financial services, I remember my dad having a conversation with me, and he goes, yeah, you've done a lot of this now. What I would recommend is for you to be a full-fledged HR professional. So there is recruitment, there's not only the leadership development and learning and development in HR, there are other aspects. And I remember saying, well, actually, none of these aspects interest me. I'm purely interested in the talent and the people side. And he goes, yeah, but you can't call yourself a full-fledged HR executive if you're not going to touch on this. And I said, well, actually, I don't, because I'm not interested in those areas. So I decided earlier on, at that point, I think I had 3 or 4 years of experience. I knew I wanted to become specialist in purely developing people and talent. And that's how then I ran all my career. And because when I love something, I'll go so deep. Yeah. And I don't like piecemeals, you know, jack of all trades, master of none. That I respect people who do that. This is just not who I am. Yeah. And and what led me to moving from one organization, so I moved from oil and gas into financial services, into government, is that passion. When I know that, okay, I've done what, you know, there's nothing more in this role and I can't grow this role, which means I can't grow, that's time for me to leave. And if I look at all my pattern of when I left, this was the reason why I always left. Got it. Okay. It was always to strive for learning more challenges, something new that I'm going to learn that is going to take me to the next level. But it was always in the learning and development. And then I moved into the talent management side of managing talent, managing successors, succession planning, you know, who are the high potentials, how do we define them? So that's how I've been running my career across different countries and the industries that I worked in, is really knowing who I am. That's, if I have an advice to give to our listeners, is know who you are. And if you don't, please work with a coach who will help you actually find that. Know who you are, know what you're passionate about, know what motivates you. You know, money is not everything for everybody. Yeah. There is an intrinsic motivation, there is an extrinsic motivation. Some people, they want that paycheck and that's what drives them. Other people, it's about purpose. It's about, this is what drives me when I'm having an impact on people. And that's why we see lots of people not being driven by money, and other people would look and go, what's wrong with you? Well, there's nothing wrong with them. It's like they're just not driven by money. Yeah. Money will come. And when I left, it reminds me of myself, actually. When I left, it took us, as I said to you, 6 months to get the first clients, to actually get a paid client. I knew, I had a deep conviction that money will come. Of course, I had that safety net for all those years where the money was just coming every month. All of a sudden, there is no money coming in that, there is no, okay, this is your payroll. There's none of that. So you don't wait for any payroll because you need to go and catch it. And that was actually the game changer for me, because I had never been an entrepreneur before. I was always relying on a check. There was always, the salary coming at the end of the month. But I was passive. I was waiting for that salary. I'm working hard for it. But when I shifted to being an entrepreneur, I knew that there would be no salary coming to me. I need to go and look for that salary. And the beauty is I get to decide how much of that salary, whereas when I was employed, my career level would determine my salary. Yeah. So that's a different game changer. Yeah. Where do I want to get that salary from? Who are the clients I want to get? How much do I want to work this month to get that salary? So it really varies.
Yeah, I like how you said, so you did kind of decide that you wanted to specialize fairly early on in your career. And I think that's a good piece of advice, right? For people who want to take this route of at some point doing something on their own. I think it's really important to have that 1 or 2 areas of specialization that you really go deep in. And I was looking at your profile, I think that you're somebody who's still doing a lot of learning, because in order to stay relevant, understand what's the latest trend in the field that you're in, and that's so important.
Absolutely. And I'll give you an example. When I was the head of talent and I was hiring these suppliers to support me in the programs and initiatives that I had, and I had tenders, I was writing tenders and going globally for these tenders. If a supplier came to me and they go, yeah, we do all this, rest assured, I would put a cross on that supplier, because I wanted to partner up with people who were specialized in their field. You can't tell me I do everything, because we can't do everything anyway. I may have a little bit of knowledge about bits and pieces, but I want to master it. And my belief, and again, I respect everybody. Lots of people like to be, doing a bit of this and a bit of, to me, in the way I have led my career is I like to focus. Yeah. Because when I focus, I continue investing in my personal development, professional, but I won't be just doing everything. And I coach a lot of people who just have a collection of certificates or diplomas, this training and this training and this training. And then when you go, okay, but what are you passionate about? What is your path? No, they have dozens of certificates, but what for? That's also, and the world is changing. The world is changing, and it's about what is your unique selling points. There's so many coaches out there. What would make you choose that coach and not another coach? Yeah. What would make you choose that coaching training company versus the other coach? Because people buy people. That's what I believe in. Yeah. When people connect with you, they respect you, you have that reputation and credibility, people will buy you. Yeah. You, not in the sense of buy you, you know what I mean? So to me, it's once you're invested. And also, there's another thing that I so want to talk about, which is authenticity, which is a word that is so overly used. And it's like, you know what, it's a token. Everybody is just, the authentic self and the authentic me and authentic blah, blah, blah. People are not stupid. Yeah. Human beings are not stupid. So when you fool and you pretend, people will know. It may take some people longer to know, but ultimately they will know. So showing up for who you truly are, genuinely, and being, and I'm going to take it even in a simpler way. Be a human being. When you're meeting other people, when you're showing your care for other people, and not just wanting to sell people services or wanting to get services from that, because people will feel that, and that's how they will select somebody else versus you. People, I was coaching somebody this morning, and she mentioned, when people are becoming commercial, I just switch off. Mm. So people who are selling stuff or wanting to sell this and wanting to really, it may work with some people, it may not work with others.
Yeah.
So show who you truly are. And if that's who you truly are, well, then it may work with some people, but it may not work with everybody.
Yeah.
But do invest in yourself and learning. Maybe that's who I was. But actually in this new venture or in this new world where the world is becoming much smaller, where we're connecting. I mean, look where we are, we're connecting human to human and having a human being experience and conversation. And not always having something at the back of my mind. I want to get something from Sanila, or she wants to get something from me. That mindset really has to change.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think you're right. I think the authenticity piece is overused, but less understood. I love your authentic message there. Like you're extremely direct and open about it. So one of the things that we're really trying to do with the podcast and the conversation, Leila, is we're talking about role models, and we're trying to introduce role models like yourself, right? To and my audience, I really do want women who are in different stages in their career to get inspiration from role models such as yourself. But who was your role model growing up? You talked a lot about your father. Would he be one of your key role models growing up?
Yeah, my father has always been a role model for me because I've always admired his ambitions, his drive, his commitment, and we're both Aries. So so it's that sense of ambition and drive, and also being of the same star sign. My mom always tells me, you are your father in a female body. I don't know if that's a compliment or not. So my father has always been a role model for me. I also had teachers who were role models for me, like my English teacher in high school, my history teacher in high school, because I could see, my English teacher in high school and my other English teacher in university. There were so many of role models, and funny enough, lots of them are in teaching. And I had lots of teachers, role models. But what really inspired me about them was not, so of course, how they were teaching me and what they were teaching me, but it was the human being behind that. It's who are these people as being? Yes, they have a job title and they are my teachers, and I look up to my teachers, and I still have other role models in my life now, be it in my spiritual journey, in my creativity. I'm on a 1 year orchestrating creativity in my life, using tapestry weaving metaphor. I'm on another one on embodiment, female embodiment. That's my 2nd year. I have another. So all these teachers now also become my role models. So it never ends because I'm no longer the person I was 20 years ago. So yes, my father continues to be my role model, but I've developed other role models because of my interests and where am I headed. So that's how I keep myself always looking up to these people. My coach supervisors, lots of them are my role models. So it's also, I don't see having one role model in one line, because I have different interests in life. And in those different interests where I am developing and evolving, I develop also role models in that field.
Yeah, okay. That's a very good way of looking at it, right? Because I think this is another very popular interview question, right? Who is your role model? And I think
role models, I don't have one.
Yeah, I'm the same like you. My father is somebody who always admired because he's totally self-made and he still stays relevant. He's 80 now, but he still kind of keeps himself up to date, keeps himself well educated with what's going on in the world. But there are role models for different things. Like this person at work is amazing because she or he communicates really well. So, right, so that you try to look at what you're interested in and where you see you really want to develop, and you pick a person there.
Absolutely, yeah.
I have to ask you something, Leila. You do a ton of stuff. You have your company. You are also executive career coach for INSEAD. You're also, I believe, the head of the Academy of Executive Coaching, and at least 3 other things. What's your personal secret to managing all of these different priorities?
is personal growth.
Mm.
As I said to you, I'm on a different journeys. That's where I have different role models. What keeps me going and managing all this is how I continue investing in who I am becoming.
Mm.
Um, and who I am becoming is different from how I was last year and who I was last year.
Yeah.
So it's been a work in progress. Like, but the journeys I embark on are 1 year journeys. I don't do a 1 day training or a 2 day training. I embark on journeys of a year long where I really immerse myself. So, and I learn techniques and tools and rituals, which I bring into my life. Because I go back to that freedom as a value. You know, how do I want to show up in my life? How much do I want to work versus how much do I want to have fun or learn or new hobbies? I just embarked on a new hobby like a month and a half ago of rowing. I never rowed, never thought I would be rowing one day. You know, I'm a swimmer, I'm a scuba diver, but rowing, but because I love everything related to the sea. So I found a new hobby and I'm just loving it. So it's also creating spaces in my life for the stuff that I want to do outside of work. But
Yeah.
of course, then it has an impact on my work and what I offer and the services that I offer to my clients.
Yeah.
So it's a constant
It's like evolving.
self-reflection. It's constant evolving.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And continues to be.
You said a lot of interesting things about coaching. And like I said, I have a couple of friends, we've talked recently about, them wanting to go and explore career coaches at some point. Maybe it's something that I would think of as well. Tips for what should somebody look for when they are trying to get a coach? What you
Hmm.
said, you yourself talked about the chemistry, and hey, what do you look for as a coach as well, right? Any tips for, hey, I'm looking for a coach. What do I need to do? What do I look for?
Please look for somebody who is trained as a coach
Mm.
by accredited bodies, be it ICF, EMCC, or Association of Coaching.
Okay.
Somebody who had a robust training, but not just that,
Mm.
because there are lots of people who just get trained, but they never pursue their certification, which means they don't continue developing their competencies and skills. So look for somebody who's accredited, well trained, somebody who is certified, which means that they take coaching seriously as a profession, like would an accountant or a marketeer or an HR professional or an auditor when they go through their certification. Same thing applies for coaching. So accreditation, certification. Look at also their career path. You know, is this somebody who has no corporate experience and they just went into training? Or somebody who actually had different roles in a corporate environment? Not that they would be sharing with you their experience, but they understand the business context. And also, where are they? Are they in the region? Are you interested in somebody in the US because you want a US perspective? So look at the geography also, and also look at how much are they developing themselves. Did they just stop at that coaching training and then that's it? Or are they continuously and constantly investing in themselves? You know, what are they? And then reach out to them and have a call, have a chemistry session with them. Because sometimes you see all this beautiful jargon on LinkedIn and on paper. But when you meet the person, you go, wow, was that the person I saw the profile? Actually, I'm really surprised. Or wow, from the minute the person says hi, you go, wow, you know what? I just love that aura or love that energy and I want to work with that person. So do your due diligence. And also, you may want to call 2 or 3 other coaches and
Yeah.
then just go into exploring, so that because every coach has a different style. So understand with them also if they can give you example, how do they work with their clients?
Yeah.
You know, what would be a typical example? How would they be working with their clients? Ask them, ask the coach, what is your coaching style? You know, so the more information you have about this, I have sometimes when people ask for recommendation, you know, can I speak to, not so much when I coach one-to-one, but if let's say people come and attend the coaching training, they do ask for testimonials or if they can talk to somebody else who attended the program.
Yeah.
Because do your due diligence, and then just check. And also word of mouth. If you have people who have been coached and had a great experience, ask them, who was your coach? can you recommend your coach to me? Can you give me their details? So different ways in, and also male, female, what's same age group, older than you, all this becomes personal later on. But these are also important factors. Lots of people work with me, they go, because you're also an Arab and you're a female and you would understand the challenges that I'm going through, or you live in the region, you understand the challenges. So there are lots of different dimensions in terms of the criteria that someone needs to look at when looking for a coach. And also, is this coach in supervision? Does this coach work with the coach supervisor, which means they're constantly developing their own self-practice. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna share this with my friend so she can get her. Great. Leila, thank you. I think I really enjoyed just our whole conversation, and you shared a lot of things to think about there, which I feel is going to be very useful to our listeners and whoever is watching the video as well. Any final things to share with our unlimited seating audience, Leila?
Follow your dreams and dream big, and do take risks in life. It's so worth it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Leila, for your time, and I'm wishing you and your company continued success and growth, and I look forward to connecting in the future as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you so much thanks for having me first on your podcast, and continue shining and taking risks with this podcast, because this unlimited seating podcast is also give them that incentive or that drive to actually, you know what, let me go and follow my dreams. So continue shining and continue doing what you're doing as well.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot.
Let's stay in touch. My pleasure.
Take care
and all the best. Enjoy your weekend.
You too.